Yeah, so I guess introductions are in order, huh?
Well, isn't this the part where we like fake like we've been talking for a while, and then so you can lead in and
You know our format, yes.
yes.
It's almost like
I have listened to like every episode, so
and
even
were
though
on one.
Arganth, I was. Even though Arganth in the Discord tried to call my loyalty into question because there was like 1 minute left. Like, oh, sorry, dude, I had to go do some work, and I didn't listen to the full outro.
Who is the Arganth? I'm trying to say his name right too.
He said you can say it both ways, but he did say Arganth.
Yeah, it's that Genth part. It's not normal English for me. Genth. Arganth. Yeah. I want to say Argent so bad.
So I'm glad he pronounces it Arganth.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
That's 1 point for Arganth.
Yes. Yes.
In favor of Genth.
Yeah.
Yes.
So before we get into Helldivers, Lito, you
I have been moonlighting.
Dabbling. You have been moonlighting.
He's calling me out. This guy's calling me out right now.
Cheating, perhaps.
Yes.
I'm here for an intervention. I love this.
Yeah. You're trying to bring me back to the light. Well, in defense of this indefensible act of mine, the game does have hell in the name. Okay.
Aha.
So you're playing Hell Let Loose?
Yes. How did
nice.
you
I just guessed.
Well, I mean, it's a pretty good, tip, but yeah, Hell Let Loose has been I can't. It's addicting, dude. It's just like it's so hard that I want to get good. And it's super realistic in in any kind of video game sense. You get it's I don't know. It's just something different, but kind of the same. A little bit. You're always running.
Sure.
You're always running.
Throwing bodies at the problem.
Yeah, and it's co-op, and you got to communicate. You got to communicate with complete strangers all the time. And there's like it's. I think Vega would appreciate the game. Yeah, I'm sure he knows about it and everything. But like he's always trying to get like these super teams together to do the same thing, and and I think you guys have pulled it off once without I wasn't around, but like a match where we're all doing the same thing, but we're on separate squads. Well, you can do that on Hell Let Loose. It's 50 on 50 versus 50, and then you got squads, and then you've got squad leaders. They only talk to the other squad leaders, and then you got a commander who's talking to the squad leaders, and there's like different channels of chats, so you can talk to your people that are around you. You can talk to, and then you can talk to your squad. Which kind of makes it realistic because you'll be passing a guy and he'll be like, "Hey man, you got extra bullets?" Like kind of like I don't know, in real life, like oh no, I don't got any. So it's pretty cool. You get killed and you don't know where the shots are coming from. You're so exposed all the time, you don't even know. You just kind of get that feeling of you're just doom, yeah, dread, doom. And you just gotta get on your belly and try to survive this little attack that's happening and. Keep your wits about you, and it's pretty awesome, dude. I don't know. I'm putting it out there. Okay. Hell Let Loose might be my next obsession.
Your next obsession or your current obsession?
My current and next.
Hell Let Loose is clearly the side piece.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. But speaking of side pieces, I would say that you had a date with your significant other tonight instead of the side piece, right? And something good came of that, right? You spent some time with Helldivers and you just unlocked something.
Yeah. I just got the latest Warbond, the flame one, and I had enough medals to unlock. And I got the cookout. I just unlocked the cookout. Yeah.
Nice, dude.
So, what do you guys think of that one? The cookout.
Go ahead, Matthew.
I love it.
Yeah,
I love it a lot. Like I mean I really like it for bugs. I don't like taking it for bots, but that's not really like that doesn't mean you can't. I mean, because like I said the last time I was here, like you can play with whatever you want. Like it doesn't really matter. Like you play with what makes you feel good. Anybody trying to discourage your experience is incorrect. Because after all, this is a game. And with whatever someone brings, you can find a way to work with them. It's kind of the beauty of it, in my opinion. But I really like the cookout.
So, what aspects about it do you like?
So the sound design for the cookout is probably my favorite. I mean, I think I said when we were playing, I said it's the best sound design in Helldivers 2. I think it's just my favorite rather than the actual best because I've never been a sound designer. I don't think I'll ever be a sound designer. But I will say that like the way that gun, like so much of a video game weapon is based on like response time in terms of like press button to action, and then there's like there have been PhD theses written about like how Mario jumping feels good. Like Mario's jump is like one of the best feelings in video games. And I'm not saying the cookout is as good as Mario's jump because it's just not, but it might be one of the best feeling weapons in this game. Mainly because when the bugs swarm and you just see yourself just crowd controlling things and pushing them back, and the fire damage that comes with it is kind of melting the chaff away. It still gives you a chance to keep the heavier boys back. So like you have a bunch of what I know that they're hunters, but what are the smaller ones? Not the scavengers, but the smaller hunters. The ones with like yellow ears. I forget what they're called. This game needs a bestiary real bad.
Yeah.
But the those tiny jumpers, not the hunters, but the other ones, you'll see them like melt away, and then like hive guards will start moving towards you, and like brood commanders, and you just actually say like you actually just hit them on the nose and say back up, and everything backs up a little bit, so it gives you space, and you to have that sort of feedback with it, like up in your head, like you're like, oh cool, have a second to breathe. Okay, next thing.
Yeah.
So, and you can turn, you can give yourself enough space to get a stim off, and with the experimental injection that came with the Viper Commando Warbond, you can actually just zip on out of there, like Sonic the Hedgehog. And it's a really nice design. And while the cookout is basically the slugger with fire, I don't think the slugger ever felt this good. No shade of the slugger, but it feels like weight lifting off my shoulder, like I'm getting massaged or something when I fire the cookout. The slugger doesn't do that.
Right on. Now, how would you compare it to the recently nerfed fan favorite Incendiary Breaker?
So, I don't know if you can. I'm sure there are smarter folks out there than I that could probably go deep on this, but for me, they always served different purposes. Like I'm a person who likes to fight the bots.
Okay.
So when if I'm going to fight the bugs for a major order, or if I'm in a squad of people who prefer to just go after bugs, I would take the Incendiary Breaker, not necessarily because I thought it did the best, but I think it was just sort of it felt reliable. And I don't even know if I actually liked using it, to be honest with you. But I wouldn't even think of the only time I ever brought that on a bot mission was when I forgot to change my loadout. But yeah, the Incendiary Breaker never really did it for me. I'm a spray and pray guy.
Okay.
Breaker spray and pray?
I love the breaker
Or
spray
just in
and pray.
general?
No,
Okay.
the breaker spray and pray. I genuinely love that weapon. Now a lot of people don't, but different strokes, different folks.
I see a lot of posts by people who want every weapon to do everything, and that's not how this game is supposed to work.
Right. I'm not above watching like content creators talk about this game because
Sure.
I work a long shift at work, and when I have breaks, I'm usually thinking about Helldivers. So I'll usually say, what's going on? What does anyone have to say about Helldivers right now, just while I'm eating my lunch or just have a second to breathe at work? And I feel like the people complaining the loudest are separated into two camps. I think there is a possibility, and I'm not really saying they're incorrect with this with this perception, but I think if you came to this game after playing like Apex Legends a lot, or Call of Duty, or Doom, or anything where you are clearly the hero, where you are clearly like
the alpha.
Yeah, you are the one who's destined to win because that's the game. It's a misconception that this is that.
Right.
Because the one thing that I love about this series, because it was the same in the first game, you are not like, everybody talks to you like you are the biggest, baddest thing. You are a Helldiver. You are, but meanwhile, like, why you look at all these Helldivers dying in the UI, because in the first game you just saw like in the quadrillions, and the numbers kept going up just super fast. It was just cycling through it. So you're like, oh, wait a minute, that are we special, or are we just
fodder?
Are we just a human shield, or a shield of some sort?
Yeah, that's a good way to put it.
Well, and that
yeah,
and that plays into, like, I don't think people get that part of the joke, in that they're like patronizing you.
Yeah,
you know?
100%.
Yeah.
Like I mean, and see, and the funny thing is, everyone experiences this every day of their life when they go to work and their boss goes, "We're just a family here. Oh, you having problems with your wages? You feel like we should be doing a little more? Give you a pizza party. You want a pizza party?
Thanks for that 16-hour day.
Like that's what that's exactly what this is. Like, they want to build you up, but they don't want to actually fix anything.
And that's why the ammo booster has to stay. I saw people saying online that they should get rid of the ammo booster.
What, the Hell Pod optimization?
Yes.
Oh,
yeah,
God,
because,
no.
Right.
That is
they're like, this is stupid. It gets used 100% of the time.
Right.
Because they were making fun of Arrowhead nerfing the breaker because it's used a lot. But that's the thing. Like, you should get the joke at that point. Like, yeah, they're selling you on this war that you're such a big part of everything that's going on. But they don't even want to front the money to fit you out with more ammo.
Yeah, like, oh, well,
funny.
If they need it, they'll put space. They'll find a way to sacrifice themselves for this. Now, luckily for us here, Helldivers is not a From Software game. And the validity of every weapon, in my opinion, exists. Now, there are really great creators that do very in-depth weapons analysis, stratagem analysis, and talk about what tier of weapon is. Those and the people who do that are fantastic at what they do. Like, just to shout them out, like Thick Fillet on YouTube, Paraven on YouTube. Those two specifically break down weapons in ways that you wish the game gave you half that information. It would make it would make it a little bit easier to stomach a nerf. because at least you could say, okay, well, I have all this information about this weapon that I'm probably not going to like anymore. Well, good, I could try something else. And most of the time, we just don't have a ton. And Thick-Fillet and Aravan are two individuals that have lives, and they also want to play the game and have fun as well. So we can't just sit there and expect them to break down every weapon. I do think Thick-Fillet's arguments, like how they have been sort of in conversation with Arrowhead over the past few days at this point, that is the way that if we as a community could address Arrowhead, that would probably be the way to do it. Because they're not going out there, oh, nerf my favorite weapon. They're saying, well, you did it because you did it and your reasoning was realism, but you also did this before because your reasoning was realism. And I think they said, well, the incendiary breaker is used in 30% of bug missions. Let's talk about the autocannon. Now, as we were talking about Argent earlier, that's his favorite weapon. Like, and he has said in our Discord, they nerf the autocannon. I might be done with Helldivers. I don't really blame him. But
don't give them any ideas. They listen
exactly. But see, I also think that I also agree with Thick-Fillet. Like, there's a way to do this that is more in service of the game than maybe realism or using realism, because like at the end of the day you're like, oh, realistic, oh, we're fighting giant bugs. Yeah, that's realism.
It depends. I mean, that's the thing though. People make that kind of argument like about Star Wars sometimes. You try and make an argument about Star Wars, and they're like, yeah, but you're talking about space wizards with laser swords, So
yeah.
So my point is that, like, I think when they say realism, they're talking more about like what Richard Donner would have called verisimilitude, which is consistency within the world that you're trying to present to people. And I think that's what they're striving for more than like actual realism.
Sure. And I think as well, I'm not going to say I'm an intelligent person, but when I look at the word realism out of like a game developer's mouth in this context, I'm not sitting there thinking, oh, they want fire to work like it does in the real world. That's a bit of a stretch, but at the same time, they're choosing that word. So
sure.
it can't. I'm not saying that. I'm not saying that it's an incorrect thing to say, but it is I can see everybody being feel misled about that, and that's probably the long and the short of it. I feel like we will, yeah, like and you're 100% correct. Like, they're probably aiming more at realism within the world they're presenting, because that would be the right way to do it.
Because, I mean, like you said, in the end, we're fighting robots and giant bugs. So if you want to take realism on its face value, then it's not going to get very far. All right, so overall, like, you've talked about the YouTubers and whatnot, but what, and we've talked about other people's thoughts. What is everyone's thought on the current state of the game? Your own opinions, feelings, experience.
Yeah, no. Yeah, what's weird is every day my news feed would be blasting me with Helldiver news, like a new something, that people are uproar about this, I send them to you, Mike, all the interesting stories. And my news feed has been like nothing recently. Which is interesting. It's like, where are we, in August? And it seems like every day something was happening. So I don't know if it's because I'm searching other things online or what, but yeah, I'm just like waiting around. I guess I'm just kind of in holding pattern. I guess, which so that's where I'm kind of at, just waiting around. But I'm sure you blow up Super Earth, I'll be mad and I'll go start playing and try to get Super Earth back on the map.
I feel like the game has kind of been in a holding pattern all summer too, because the development team did take shifts going on summer vacation. So like there was only a skeleton crew at the office doing work.
Well, that ties into something interesting. It does kind of have to do with the current state of the game. There is a growing faction of players who apparently are now team killing in the name of this rebellion that they want these. There are people who want to see Super Earth fall because they're dissatisfied with the current state of the game.
Because well, at the beginning of the summer we got the 90% of our player base is gone, the game is dead, and then then Escalation of Freedom happens and they nerf fire, which all of a sudden now the game is dying again, even though here we are still playing every day. So
Speaking of the escalation drop, I mean, I was excited when they did the live stream. And I was up at 5 in the morning, my time, our time, and Argent was on and Aether was on. That was awesome. By the way, that was so cool being on the Discord with you guys, and then we all experienced the drop together, reading the patch notes. Aether was reading the patch notes, and you guys were playing and getting into the new stuff, and that was outside of the black hole being really cool. That was probably so far my favorite memory of playing. To be with the community, experience that event, feel the love, and then all the hate come out for because of the incendiary breaker getting nerfed. I guess was the big catalyst for everybody to throw all the shade at the developers. Like, come on, you know. What do you think about it, Mike?
What do I think?
Yeah.
I think a lot of people are freaking out about nothing. I think the game is still fun. I think it's okay to take breaks from it. It doesn't have to be the game you play all the time. I think at this point, it really is a game you could pop into. I mean, I get playing it a lot. I still enjoy playing it a lot, specifically because of the people that we have to play with. Like, I can go to other games and play by myself or play with other people, but this group is pretty fun to play with, and I think that's rare to find. Um, but at the same time, it doesn't need to be an obligation, and you can go off and play different games and come back to this one, and it's still gonna, like I said a few episodes ago, like the base game is still gonna be the same. It's just gonna be like a new stratagem or two or some things. But the problem with that approach is that you wind up missing things like the black hole. You wind up, like right now, there's a huge spore cloud making its way through the galaxy, and there's a part of the map that's like all clouded because of it. And so something is brewing. And then we just cut off like a section of the automatons from the rest of the automatons, but the automatons are pushing towards Super Earth. So I get what you're saying, and I feel that way too. Like, what is the end goal? There is no end goal. Um, but at the same time, sometimes the end goal leads to like this game is pointless now. So it's kind of in my mind. I go back and forth, and I just decide I'm not going to play it all the time, but I'll play it often enough to keep up with what's going on, and um, yeah, and have a little bit of fun. So. Yeah, I mean, so there are like cool things going on. It's just not. It's just not. Yeah, they did take that break, and it seems like the story is coming together I mean, the Breaker's still one of the best guns in the game.
Yeah, I can't.
It still
the
hits
best
real
primary.
hard. It still hits real hard.
I can't find a better game. I'm trying. I'm trying to find a better primary. I can't. You know.
Yeah. Speaking of weapons, though. I was trying out a new loadout on the bots, and I wanted to get Matthew's current preference on the bots. But this is something I was running around on medium. Okay. With the well, I was using the cookout at one point, but I was also using the diligence counter sniper. This is the one I liked a lot.
Yeah.
The bushwhacker.
Okay.
Set to fully auto.
Ooh, you can go full auto with that?
Yeah.
I'm today years old learning this.
I think somebody told me that, though, so I didn't figure it out. Somebody told me about that. It might have been somebody in the Discord too.
Yeah,
when I was playing with them.
It's similar to when we found out the auto cannon can go full auto.
Yeah. So I was using that, and I was running around blowing everything up with the commando, and that little loadout does a good job of dealing with a lot of the annoying mid-sized bots. So yeah,
the many variants of devastators and berserkers.
Yeah. And then the other thing I was playing around with, because I'm reading all this stuff online, and all these people freaking out. This game sucks. And I'm having some of the coolest experiences that I've ever had with the game this past week. I'm sure a bunch of people already know this, but I was running around trying to do stealth, and I figured out, I'm not the first, I'm sure, but for myself, I figured out that if you break line of sight and you get down on the ground when you're running from the bots or the bugs, they will stop looking for you. The reason I keep getting shot at, the reason they keep coming over the hill and the music keeps playing is because I'm not avoiding them enough. I'm running around in plain sight for everyone to see. But if you turn the corner and you get down on the ground and you don't move, or you start crawling a little bit, they will stop coming for you.
That's impossible.
That blew my mind. Blew my mind.
If I see a bug or a bot, I have to shoot and kill them.
Mike, bars, my friend, bars. One of the things about the two factions in this game, this is why I'm very excited for the possibility of third, be it Illuminate or someone else. I like that it is a separate game. The game you play against the bugs is not that you can't just come over to the bots and do bug stuff.
Right.
It doesn't work. And one of the things that when people have asked me why I like video games, well, it's essentially a puzzle coming at you all the time. And I like it because it's essentially problem solving. I have to think about how I'm going to get through this particular thing. And the reason I continue to play this game, I like what Lito was saying. I do like I would like it if I saw the art going somewhere. But the reason I keep playing is because every time I land on a planet, it's a different puzzle. And when you look at the map and you see that everything is red, and there's an enemy presence everywhere, but then when you land and it's quiet, wait a minute, what do you do? Where are you? Where is everybody? But then you start thinking, okay, so what you have to look at your mini map and figure out, okay, this is how we're going to do this. This is how I'm going to try and get through this. And hopefully for side objectives, I have a loadout that'll work, or I have enough tools in the locker to get through that. And you hope your choices are optimal, because they're not always. Sometimes you're going to make a mistake, and that's fine. No one will be mad at you. But because they're so different, and because you have to think about them so differently, that's what I love. And while it would be easy for me, because when we first started playing together, I really tried to dial back this is what you should do for everything, because no one wants that. No one wants someone just browbeating you. No, play this way, because it's not what this game is. While if I were trying to walk somebody through a Souls game, I'd be like, okay, this is how you have to think about encounters as a whole, because they're all just variations of this set of things.
Yeah, no, that's a good point, because I mean, even if you are playing the same missions, and I think this is how I kind of get past sometimes if I'm feeling like it's kind of repetitive, the reality is that it never plays out the same.
Right.
But going back to my like favorite moments real quick, because I had two moments. Like that moment blew my mind, okay? Like I had seen like bugs and bots walking past you if they had never seen you before, right? But these were bots that I was engaging with, killing a bunch of them, and then running away and hiding, and they would leave me alone, and I could get up and go about doing whatever I wanted to do. And to me, that was way cooler than them just not seeing me and going by. Like I was like, wow, you can actually play hide. Like you can play stealth in this game. The other thing was I was playing on the closest planet to Super Earth that the bots are fighting on. And it had this meteor shower that came through the atmosphere. And it was coming down, and they were like lighting up the ground as they were approaching each thing and then making this impact. And it was one of the coolest visuals I've ever seen in a game. And that is one of the reasons why this game is worth, like, to me, playing a lot.
Well said, Infinite.
My mic over. Sorry about
That's
that.
one.
You don't have to drop your mic now.
Well
I did
put.
it for you. Sorry about that.
So that's it. I think the state of the game is pretty good. I think there's much ado about nothing. But yes, I mean, obviously there are valid concerns that need to be addressed, but overall it's pretty good.
The one thing I do want to bring up, just because it's on the running order that you guys sent me, I want to talk about the flamethrower nerf. Now I know that this was this was second to the incendiary breaker about being nerfed.
Yeah.
Like everyone was like, well, now I mean, and I think there are probably a more than a couple in our Discord that were really sort of perturbed by this. I feel like that could have been handled differently, but I don't know how, because the way that Arrowhead addressed it is they changed how fire worked. Now, and everyone's saying, but they were just about to release a Warbond full of fire weapons. Now, you have to step back and think about this. People were using the flamethrower to take down one of the heavier, albeit very annoying enemies in the game, in the charger. Like, you were just melting charges with it. Now, imagine, they had to use a stratagem slot to do that. Imagine a world where you didn't. All of a sudden, your primary is just like, oh, dealing with chargers. All of a sudden, mathematically, you basically have essentially a free railgun. Like, I mean, you think about it that way. A free early Helldivers 2 railgun for the bugs. That is where I'm sitting thinking, oh, that needed to be dealt with. Now, is there a way? And this would have to be answered, developer side and people who are working with the engine, which, by the way, they're making a game that works really well on a discontinued engine. So it's not like they can, they can't go to Epic for like Unreal Engine support. They can't go to any major, I forget, any major publisher that publishes an engine. They can't go to Source Engine. They can't go to Valve for that. Or what's that other one? Unity. Like, that's the other big one. So they're trying to figure this out on their own. So they probably had to do this behavior thing to fire as a whole. Hopefully they can find a way to just rebalance the flamethrower. Maybe not revert, because I feel like if they revert that change, all of a sudden, Freedom's Flame just became the
that's
most
what it
OP
makes me
Warbond
think
in
is
this
like,
game.
what were they seeing in their play tests? And that's one of the things they were talking about after all of this went down. Like, they're talking about opening up like play testing.
Mhm.
But that's all I could think was like, what were they seeing? And it basically comes down to what you're saying. It had to be just way too powerful. Like, everything together was way too much, and they had to tone it down somehow without retooling everything.
Right. Well, it's like what we were playing before, and Argent and I were talking about, like, you guys were talking about the commando and how powerful it is, and maybe it needs to be nerfed. And both Argent and I were like, "Nah, the eat's stronger than the commando." What people look at the commando is it has 4 shots instead of 1. Or if you want to talk about the
Well,
full stratagem, it's 4 shots instead of 2.
I was saying that, like, I had a moment last night where for the first time I felt like I could see, at least for what I was doing,
Mm-hmm.
it was way too powerful. Like, it made what I was doing that night, I mean, it made it fun, I'm not gonna lie.
Sure,
But
100%.
I was, like, picking off fabricators from super far away on medium, and I'm just, like, running around, and just watching it go, and then boom, boom, boom. And I didn't have to get close to those factories. I didn't have to engage the enemies or anything like that. And I could see, like, why that they might want to address something like that,
So,
if they were seeing some of that.
so I believe that is a known bug.
Right, but I'm saying I don't think they should fix it. But
So the bug is actually not with the weapon. The
it's
bug
with
is
the fabricator.
it's with the fabricator, because I think the commando is not the only weapon that can do that. If you hit a certain spot on the back, the way that the hitbox is designed is it ricochets into the fabricator, where the hitbox that destroys the thing is. And I think if they fix that without touching the commando, fine. Like, I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
Because at that point the commando becomes the spear. And if you're in the Discord with us, you know that the spear is my baby. Um don't mess with my baby, Arrowhead.
Yeah.
um but like yeah, and I think that, imagine for a second you have a spear that you can call down every minute and a half or so. I don't remember what the cooldown time is for the commando, but it's a spear you can call down every
It's pretty
roughly
short. Yeah.
minute and a half
It's
to
like a
2
minute
minutes.
25 or something like that.
Whereas the actual spear cooldown is like 6 or 8. It's a long cooldown time,
Mm-hmm.
which I think is valid. Like, same with the autocannon. Like, why I don't think the autocannon will be nerfed is because it takes up a backpack slot, which is a lot of real estate for a stratagem here. B, the ammo economy is amazing, but the reload time, you have to kneel, you have to stay in one spot, and it's versatile as all hell. And I think that the autocannon is still probably the best balanced, best feeling, best working stratagem in the game. If I think it's the one that and the eat are the one that out of the box were perfectly designed. Like, they don't really need to be messed with.
Yeah.
And while the community as a whole, people who have played competitive PvP shooters are like, oh, well, they just want us to play this way. I think that it is one of those, like, if you're frustrated, these are tools you can pick up. And I think that's probably the thinking from the developer as well. I don't think they want everyone to play with an Eaton autocannon and just set it and forget it, because they don't want that.
Sure.
And I think they wouldn't have designed the game this way just to do that. They wouldn't put years of development time into new stratagems, new ideas, as well as trying to move good ideas from the prior game forward. Which, if you are in the Discord, you know that I believe it's either Ruby or Muffin and I in the Discord saying they need to bring other stuff from the first game forward. Arrowhead, please hear me. Bring back the Shredder. Please bring back the Shredder. That's all I want. Not even to like take out. So you know, like the 500 kilogram Eagle One.
Yeah.
Bigger, better, blastier. Honestly, and I don't even want to throw it at anything. I just want to hop in the extract shuttle, drop it right before I leave. So when Pelican takes off, it takes off out of a fireball. Because in the first game, looked dope. Just saying.
Nice.
I want spectacle, no substance. I just want it to look cool. I want that takeoff sequence to look. But yeah, like, do that. That'd be cool. But also, like, I feel in terms of the nerfs, another thing that is mentioned is power creep. The one statement that I will say, like, in favor of the players on this, like, you're worried about the players having power creep. I get it. We are fodder to a war. We're being sent to the front lines as essentially a human shield for whatever motivations. We are also in the timeline where we've decided to strap missiles onto Scout Striders.
Oh, I haven't even seen that yet.
Oh, it's annoying.
Yeah.
Like, you've seen a Rocket Devastator before, right?
Yeah, for sure.
So you know those AT looking thing, or is it ATST, the two-legged walkers on the automaton side?
Yeah,
I think that's ATST.
Yeah, those Scout walkers one. Yeah.
So they're now fully covered, and they have rockets on the side of them that they can snipe you from the other side of the map, just like the Rocket Devastators can.
Great, and they're pretty accurate.
Oh man, it's annoying how accurate they are.
So how do you take them out?
Get grenade.
Oh, okay, good.
I see, like, the reason I don't use like the bushwhacker or the center is I always bring the grenade pistol.
The grenade pistol.
Yeah. Okay. And that's the way I like to play, because I like to have another thing that can just sort of push things away, or at least if it's going to, if things are walking at me and I shoot that in front of them, if they're still walking, they're not happy about it. So that's the only reason I do that. And plus it takes down bug nests and fabricators really easily.
Very good.
But yeah. This game is still cool. This game is still fun.
Yeah.
And I think I play it the way that I see a lot of folks that, or at least when I was still on Twitter, a lot of folks that I would be in conversations with, they all played Fortnite. And I think they all played Fortnite the same, like that way. I get in, either I'm with someone in our community or another, and we're just kind of just chit-chatting and vibing. I have a personal friend who recently joined the server. His name is Zodiac. He's really cool. So he and I, we've played Helldivers just to, like, kind of goof around. Mm-hmm. So I think that's at least one of the reasons I still play it, apart from the fact that this game is just dope.
Welcome to the server, Zodiac.
Yes.
Thank you for your service.
Also a listener.
Maybe.
Obviously, his friendship with you comes first, but it would be cool. Yeah. Real quick before we go, you mentioned Souls games and Souls players and people wanting to solo things. I saw on the Discord that the legend.
Yes, we have to talk about this.
Arganth soloed a super hell dive.
Yes. Got all 5 stars, all objectives.
Wow. He talked about it that that day that he made that challenge to himself on the 6th, like right after we were watching the live stream. Minutes afterwards, somebody in the somebody put it out there like, oh, they don't want someone to solo, at level 10. And Argent's like, I'll step up to that challenge. Argent.
All right.
Yeah.
That is why he's legendary.
Yeah.
That's right. Well, cool.
God, I
Leo,
love this game though.
Yeah.
I'm glad you can make it, dude.
Yeah, sorry,
Same.
the late start. It was not the plan, but I had to roll with the punches,
It's all good, man.
Well, see, it just makes this episode perfect because we already played.
Yeah. There you go.
That's true.
We already played.
Got it out of the system.
You
Yeah,
played first.
exactly.
And it happened naturally.
Yes.
So
We didn't force it. We didn't just say, hey, this is how we're doing it from now on. It's just like, oh, you guys are on? I'm gonna play.
Very good.
And to be fair, that was my fault because Mike wasn't gonna hell dive, and I'm like, but it's only a level 3. We can do this. He's like, you know what? You're right.
You got other podcasts, right, that you're on? Like, if someone wants to hear your other content.
I mean, I do. I host a movie podcast.
That's awesome.
It's called Freereeling It. My buddy Jesse and I, we talk about movies every couple of weeks. We pick one and we discuss it.
What's the criteria to pick? Like, what do you genre?
Honestly, we don't really have any restrictions. Like, nothing is really off limits.
Cool. Movies, video games, it's all connected, bro.
Mm-hmm.
Totally.
Art.
Yeah, exactly. Art, visual art. The movies you can control the main character. That's
right.
all it is.
Right. All right. Thank you, Matthew, for coming back and sharing your insights and thoughts with us.
Absolutely.
All right, guys.
Yeah. All right. We'll be seeing you.
See ya.
Thanks.
All Super Earth podcast content is based on the game Helldivers 2, created by Arrowhead Game Studios and published by Sony Interactive Entertainment.